Okay, guys, we're going to get stuck in just a sec. I'm just going to get confirmation off you that audio is good. Just let us know, guys, that audio is working fine, and we'll get stuck in a couple of seconds. Perfect. All right. Alexandra Papa, good morning. Jim Snyder, client in the program. Good morning, Jim. Barbara, good morning. Karen, good morning. Hal, good morning. Lau, I think Lau, we've spoken before. Nice to meet you or speak to you again. Malcolm, how are we doing? Chrome Chipmunks, perfect. We're going to get stuck in 2 seconds, guys. Just going to wait another couple of minutes for a few people to come in. Hope everybody's having a good, lead up to Christmas. Feel free to let us know whereabouts you're located as well. Before we get stuck in, I'm based in a small town called Norwich, just a couple hours north of London at the moment. It's coming up winter here, a bit chilly for me compared to what I'm used to in Australia. Lau, Winkler, awesome. Lincolnshire, Hal, London. Malcolm, small town called London, just southwest of Norwich. Have heard of it. Have heard of it. Do you know a guy called Gary there, Malcolm? Good bloke. Rachel, London as well. Cool. Well represented from the UK. I know that there's a few people like Jim in Waco, Texas right now. We're going to get stuck in, guys. Chris, how are we doing from London? Christian, British Columbia, Darren, Toronto, Derwin, sorry. Awesome. Cool, guys. Let's get stuck in. What we're going to go through today, like you can see on this page here, is designers versus entrepreneurs. The four elements entrepreneurs, sorry, know that designers don't to having a healthy, sustainable, and enjoyable business. Okay, so what you can see, we're obviously going to give a presentation on this fancy window on the left. I got a couple of toddlers in the back working from the home office today. If they scream, that's normal. Apologies. Hopefully that doesn't happen too often. We've got the chat link in the right-hand side there. Feel free to ask questions at any time. After each of the four major sections, I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to ask any questions you have whilst they're hot, but I'm also going to open it up for Q&A at the end. Generally, Q&A goes for 10 to 20 to 30 minutes. I'm happy to answer anything that's design business related, so feel free to fire anything to me in regards to your own business, in regards to the content that you've seen, or my design business, or the people that have gone through Profitable Designer Mastermind as well. For the reference as well, guys, we're going to be referencing quite a few case studies and individual designers' businesses that have gone through the program. You can see just below the video, there's a link to the mastermind. That just has a bit more information. I'm just going to bring that up now. Let's have a look where that is. Bear with me. Yeah, that guy there has a bit more information, like you can see. I'm just going to click here. It goes into more detail about how our program works, what the syllabus looks like, the overall strategy, what the engagement looks like, what it's like to be in the program, the actual structure for the content that you get given, and then a few more client testimonials and results, and a few frequently asked questions. So whilst we're chipping away, whilst people are asking questions, feel free to have a look through there. If you don't see anything, any content that meets your specific need, just ask in the chat, and we can get stuck into that. Cool. All right, so we're going to get stuck in now. A good amount of people here. Kristen, welcome. Noisy Doll, welcome. Chrome Chipmunks, looks like we've gone. Cool. Yeah, okay. I can definitely increase the size of that, guys. My apologies. You're gonna all of the fonts, all of the pardon, all of the videos are going to be much. The presentation's going to have bigger text than this, so don't stress. I'm just going to inline as much as I possibly can. That's the one I want to change. Let's get that bigger. Cool. So let's get stuck in. Hopefully everything fits in into what you can see here. The presentation's got bigger text than this, so don't stress. Okay. So first thing, why the hell should you be listening to me? My name's Patrick O'Connell. I'm the founder of ProfitableDesigner.com, and I've in the last 5-6 years built an $80,000 a month design business. That's the high. The average is more around 50. I bounce in between Australia and the UK. Because of that, because I got a British fiance, it's never really been ideal to be setting up a brick and mortar business again, like I had, 3 or 4 years ago. So I operate by myself. I have contractors in the US and China that work for me. We do on average $50,000 a month. That's the sweet spot in regards to being able to creatively direct all the projects myself, and obviously focus on the development of ProfitableDesigner.com. This last year, let's have a look. I think about 450 calls I've generated for the business. These are people like literally going from either LinkedIn or paid traffic to my site, checking me out, watching a video case study, booking a call about how I can help them with my design services and my skills. A lot of this traffic comes from paid traffic. Okay, so the there's two major paid traffic streams that I've got. One is YouTube ads and one is Facebook ads as well. Just to give you an idea of how much I've spent, just to get an idea of how much time I've spent marketing and testing and seeing what works. 2019 spent nearly 80,000 Australian dollars, which is probably, it's considerably less than a US dollars. It's probably like 65 grand, I suppose. This year to this point, you can see this is August's numbers. That's going to cover and go past $100,000. Okay, so that's $100,000 in paid advertising. You can imagine that the business model has to be pretty well fine-tuned to deal with that volume of traffic, and obviously, turn that traffic into something meaningful, aka revenue. All right. This is not the most important point. The most important point is that I've been able to take what I've learned, all of the fuck ups, all of the mistakes. I first started trying to build a design business, I'd say 12 years ago when I first got out of uni. For the first probably 6 or 7 years, just never generated enough revenue to warrant leaving a full time job. A lot of frustration, a lot of spinning wheels, a lot of doing a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing. And that's what I'm going to highlight for you guys today. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that I've been able to take these lessons, okay? All of the screw ups, all of the successes, turn those into a game plan and strategy that works for designers across the board, okay? So we've had 175 designers go through the training program, 12 different niches and disciplines, 5 different countries, get results like this. All right, so Heather, web and branding, homeschooling kids during COVID, came into the program probably 3 or 4 months ago. First month, $20,000 a month. Matt, charging $5,000 for web and branding. We helped him identify his best opportunities, go out there, start charging for $20,000 projects and closing them. Now his average is more like 26 to 30. Chris, struggling to charge more than $1,500 for his design expertise. Pretty quickly, I'd say probably 5 or 6 weeks within coming into the program, closed a $12,000 project. Then with the training, was able to turn it into a $51,000 engagement. We're going to show you exactly how he was able to do that. Braden, Braden, it's a bit easier for Braden because he came into the program. He does the exact same thing as I do, copy pasted the exact messaging template and the exact strategy, closed $48,000 project within 30 days of being inside the program, made back his return on investment. Jonathan Leather works in design, communication design for uh, private government agencies and people like NASA. Closed a $107,000 engagement. This is one of the smallest engagements. He now has a team of 5 or 6 people, and he closes projects that are multiple six-figure. Operates at a completely different level to most designers. Louise as well, really good designer in Melbourne. Really good at what she does. Really struggled at communicating and articulating her value. We overnight increased average project value by about $10,000 by first just upping the price. That was probably the biggest change, but it was more so giving her the belief and the justification as to why she could charge that and then sticking to her guns. Okay, but we're going to give you the sales process that she used to confidently ask for way more money. It all comes down to this. So, my success, the success of the people going through the program, if you guys want to like take note of one thing out of the whole training, I suggest it be this. You have to answer this question. This is the question that the prospect needs to hear the answer to, whether they ask it or not. They mightn't ask anything like this, but when they're sitting there with their checkbook or their credit card, they're doing a weigh up and they're going, is this person going to provide more value than they're asking for? Why should I invest my money with you over all the other options I have, including doing absolutely nothing? You have to understand that people are not looking for design, they're looking for investments. And the people that you're trying to close, fundamentally, before anything, they are investors. Their job and their responsibility in their business or their lives is to identify areas where they can spend money and it's going to provide the business with value or utility back, and try to eliminate any chance that money is going to be wasted or fundamentally pissed up a wall. Okay, so you're not just competing against other designers. You're competing against everything the business owner could be investing money in. Inventory, infrastructure, electricity, bills, staff, marketing, sales team, additional hires, product development, packaging costs, warehousing rent, literally all of it. And if you cannot communicate how you're a return on investment, you're a cost and you just get thrown in the no pile. Okay. And if you can't communicate that you're a return on investment, you're competing against absolutely nothing. Because if you're just communicating that you're going to take money out of somebody's pocket, $200 per hour, and you can't tell them when, and you can't tell them what actual result you're going to deliver to them, it's better for them to do nothing. Okay. And when you sell design services, this is a very hard question to answer. And this is why so many designers struggle. And these are the 4 killers of design business profitability, built on the fact that you're selling services and not answering this question. So if you are selling services like everybody else, you're a vulture because you're copy pasting the exact same strategy as everybody else, not pioneering, and you're left to fight for scraps. And when you're fighting for scraps like a vulture, prospects can't take you seriously. Because if you can't answer this question, why should they take you seriously? You're not of any major value to them, right? So if prospects don't take you seriously, you can't communicate your return on investment, it's very hard to get prospects on the phone. And if it's very hard to get prospects on the phone and get their attention and get them to dedicate 45 minutes to chatting to you, it's going to be hard to convert them to prospects. And even if you're lucky enough to get them onto the phone, it's going to be very hard to close them because the minute they could be really excited about the whole process, can't wait to work with you, you've personally clicked on a level, there's an emotional investment. The minute that you drop the price and they have to pull out the checkbook, wait a second. Am I getting more value that I'm giving this person, right? And because most designers can't answer this question, It means none of this stuff works, which means you don't know what works, so you end up doing everything. YouTube channel, blog, rebranding every 22 minutes, seeing another article and, changing your strategy off that. What I'm going to do today, guys, is show you that it's really as simple as this. The way to move away from charging commoditized design services like everybody else and competing on price is to answer this question. All right. And this is the big, big difference between, I'm going to say it's the second most important feature of a successful business owner and entrepreneur. We're going to get into the first one a bit later, but let's start with this. The biggest, okay, we'll say the second biggest difference, but the first one we're going to talk about here, big difference between broke designers and entrepreneurs is a powerful offer that no one has but you. Does that all make sense so far, guys, before I get stuck into the actual content? Because I really want to frame this because the real problem is design services. That's the big problem. Thanks, Chris. I just want to make sure that the present state presentation's still working. Cool. We're going to get stuck into the first one, then we're going to get stuck into questions after that. So feel free to ask any questions about what you see in regards to this offer content. But this is massive. A powerful offer no one has but you. Okay? Moving away from being the vulture and becoming the lion. All right? In the design space, your pentagrams, these kind of companies that were pioneers 20, 30 years ago who carved their space, ate literally 90% of the carcass, and 99% of the design industry is fighting over the scraps. All right. The way to avoid this is to build an offer that nobody can get anywhere but with you. All right. So, how we do this is what we call package knowledge. Okay. And it's really simple. I'm not going to give you guys anything over complex here because most people just don't get the simple basic principles right. All right. It's really, the genius is just in how simple it is. And you're going to see very quickly how to position yourself way more valuably. So have a look through all of your past projects to this point, all of your clients, then list them in order from great, the great ones, the okay ones, the terrible ones. I guarantee that the value of the project has a direct proportional value with the difficulty of the problem that you solve. Guarantee it. The ones where the client trusted you more, they saw you as an advisor, they looked up to you instead of just telling you what to do, they paid on time, everything. These guys, you were solving a bigger problem for them. I guarantee the ones at the bottom, the difficulty of the problem was non-existent or barely there. Okay. So this is the first marketing tip I can give you. Don't be a generalist. Look at this. I think this is being really optimistic too about how projects are distributed. Like if you were to look at your own Rolodex, why not position yourself around a problem that a couple of your great clients have and position your entire business around solving that problem, right? Just like a brain surgeon. They went to medical school. They've learned everything that a doctor did, a general practitioner, but at some stage they decided, I'm only going to focus on the brain. They earn 30 times as much as the general practitioner. Why? Because the general practitioner gets great clients as well, but they get a lot of terrible ones. And then when you divide those out, what's the average? Well, the average is the GP makes 200 grand a year. The brain surgeon makes $1 million. Okay, so that's the first idea, is that you focus on only serving your best customers and clients, the ones who value you the most, by solving just a difficult problem that they have, and you position your business not around selling design services, but around selling the solution to that specific problem. Okay, that's the first point. Second point is this, is that the reason that anybody spends money with us or invests with us is because they have a problem. All right, they've got a client problem. They're trying to move away from it. This is represented here by this blue dot. They're trying to move over to here, a measurable result. They want to move towards this thing. Okay, nobody wants design. Nobody. Design is only seen as a stepping stone in order to get to this point here. The problem with most designers is that they sell design labor. You tell me what to do, and I'll do it for you. Here's 5 packages. You tell me which one. You provide the intellectual property, and I'll just be a hired shit kicker for you. The problem with this is that you're not taking on the responsibility of getting them to an actual result. The person who hires the web designer doesn't want great web design. They want the result of a website, which mechanically could be more sales, more booked appointments, a better sales tool for the sales team when they're on the road. Okay, the branding designer who gets hired for a project, does the client want great branding, or do they want to increase market share, or do they want to communicate a high value so that they can charge more for their customers? Nobody wants design. Design is only a stepping stone. So when designers engage people, they position their entire business around one step of the whole process. It's like trying to sell spark plugs when people are looking for cars. Okay, so the first step is focus on the biggest problem you can solve. The second step is understand that these best clients that engage you for design are actually looking for something beyond it and figure out what that result is. Then figure out what additional steps you need to provide to dramatically increase the likelihood that they succeed at this. And I'm going to take you through how easy this is very shortly. Okay. This becomes your advisory component to your offer. So, not you doing it, but advising on best practice, how to best do this, the best way of executing this strategy, right? And then you combine this to your design labor to become a package knowledge offer. So now you're selling the whole transition from the problem to the actual measurable result, not just good looking design. Okay. When I did this, when I focused on my best clients, focused on the problem they had and tried to solve more of the problem, increased my average customer value by 5 times, right? This is 2018. I'm looking at about $29,000 per client right now. Why? Because I figured out who my best clients were. These people. I'm a product designer slash industrial designer. Person with an idea for a product doesn't know how to get it to market. Instead of just selling product design services like every Tom, Dick, and Harry in my market, I figured out, well, what do they have to do after that to get to the actual outcome? Because they don't care about a great looking product if it doesn't amass to this. So I connected them with the manufacturing and the packaging contacts in China. I organized their logistics, which takes 2 hours. And then I consult them for 4 to 8 hours on commercialization strategy. What path to market is going to be best for you? Crowdfunding, getting it into retail, third-party investment, or building your own online store, and building organic traffic. So the really important thing to understand here is this seems like a lot of work. This here takes 10% of the time. This here, this green dot here, takes 90% of the time. But because I sell these things together, it allows me to, by a factor of 5 to 10 times, increase what I'm charging because now I'm selling the value of this result instead of the value of my time. Okay? Hopefully that's clear, guys. I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples here. So this is Matt. Matt and Lisa have a web and branding agency in kind of Central Coast New South Wales. Average project value is about $5,000. Got them up to 10, got them up to 20. Average is like 30 now. We're pushing for $50,000 per project. How on earth can we charge 10 times? Because we figured out who their best clients were. Matt is from a technical background. So he was like a technical, like computer engineer. So he kind of speaks their language and he's always gravitating towards these guys. So they started focusing on companies that have tech products who weren't generating the right market traction. Instead of just selling branding, he decided to go give them feature audits and show them what was important to their customers and what wasn't. Roll this featured audit out into the website in combination with the branding and show these companies how to better use LinkedIn outreach to reach out to their own opportunities and actually get all the way to direct to path market sales. All right. So instead of just selling design, 90% of the effort goes here, 10% goes into providing the direction to get to this point. Okay. Minimizing the leap of faith, which is how much work the client has to do after they've engaged with you. All right. Another example, Chris, that we spoke about earlier, charging $1,500 per project, broadcast designer, 51K for a problem. How do you do that? Machinery company, sales team not effective. They sell machinery at $2 million a pop. All right. If they could sell 2 more machines a year, what's it worth to get somebody in and help with the sales presentation and the website architecture to support the sales team? Right. That's how you charge 51 grand for a project, because it's all about the value of the outcome that you're contributing towards. Same with Alyssa and Michelle selling web and branding packages. Look at this. Not 15 clients totaling $10,000, $10,000 for one client. Okay. These guys come into the program. These guys were absolute weapons when it came to Facebook outreach and getting clients themselves. Their problem wasn't clients. Their problem was they had too many of them. They had, I don't know if you guys have heard of a piece of software called Asana. I think it's Asana. It's project management software. They had 115 projects on the go when they came into the program. Why? Because they weren't charging enough. They could have 115 projects, or they could have like 15 or 20 of them, right? What we did is we figured out who were the ones that were paying the most. Female entrepreneurs who are just getting started in their business, who were looking to get up and running, a business model that was working and functioning. Okay, so instead of just web and branding, help them identify what their unique selling proposition was, help them with the same Facebook outreach strategy they were using to book calls, and combine that into an offer, right, where 90% of their time was still spent here. That's how they did it. Okay. Why should I invest my money with you over all the other options I have, including doing absolutely nothing? How do you answer that? Simple. Sorry, I can see that you guys can't see my mouse, so that's fine. What I'll do is I'll click on stuff if I'm referring to it. Apologies. Hopefully you guys haven't lost too much meaning out of that. But you have to answer this question. Why should I invest my money with you over all the other options I have, including doing absolutely nothing? Because I'm really good at design, and I've got a lot of experience, and I really love working with clients, and I deliver on time. These are all vulture features. Okay, how do you properly answer this question? Because I solve the exact problem that you currently have, and instead of just selling design services like everybody else that you're considering, we solve the whole problem and get you to a measurable outcome, not just great design. That's how you answer that question. Does that make sense, guys? Feel free to let me know if you've got any questions on how to build an offer like that. I'm going to take no questions as perfectly articulated and move on to the next one. Feel free to ask the questions. I'll come back and check the questions box in a sec. But the second thing that entrepreneurs have that broke designers don't, the ability to get prospects on the phone, right? We call this opportunity control because it's just your ability to control what's coming in the pipeline. This is the standard kind of process for, how anyone would get people on the phone. We obviously teach people in Profitable Design Mastermind how to do this at a very high level, but guess what? What we teach doesn't work if you don't have the product or the service to sell to start with. Like the reason most designers cannot move people from left to right, these blue dots kind of represent, how most people do kind of, free outreach. These represent paid outreach. The reason most designers cannot generate conversations and get people to book on the call or get people to click and get people from a website that has portfolio work to booking a call, it's because nothing that you say communicates the answer to this question. It doesn't matter. Design doesn't matter. Great design doesn't matter. Your portfolio don't matter. They only matter if you lead with the answer to this question. It's that simple. If you can't answer this question, why would somebody hop on the phone? Because we're all selfish. We want to gain stuff out of speaking to people. You guys didn't come on to this call today to just hear about my life and my thoughts and opinions unless they align with what you're trying to selfishly achieve. So when somebody goes to your website and you're talking about design, you're talking about the wrong shit because nobody wants design. They want the results that design can potentially deliver. And if you don't get that and if you don't communicate that, you're communicating to people instinctively that you are focused on the wrong thing and you're just going to take $150 or $200 an hour out of their pocket. Okay. When you answer this, then this becomes easy. You reach out to people instead of saying, hey, want design services? You're like, hey, my name's Patrick. This is the problem I solve. Here's a couple of examples of the great results I've got for clients. Are you currently running into this problem? Yes, I am. Cool. Give me a bit more background. Okay, cool. Well, based on what I've heard, let's hop on a 45-minute call. What we're going to do in this call, I'm going to ask you a few questions. And then what I'm going to do is help you and give you some advice on your product idea, how much I think it costs, where we can get it manufactured, how long that'll take, and potentially the best path to market. Okay. If you are selling, to female entrepreneurs who are just getting started who need web and branding, cool. Let's hop on the phone. I'm going to ask you a few questions about what you're trying to sell. I'm going to give you a couple of pieces of advice on how to create a unique selling proposition. And I'm going to point you in the direction of what groups to potentially go out and reach out and connect with people, right? That's how you book calls. You got to sell the value of the call. Most people just talk about design the whole time, which is not answering this question. Whereas if you're talking about the value of the call and what somebody gets out of it, even if they don't move forward with you, you're going to book a lot of calls. That's why I book a lot of calls because people know that even if they don't move forward with me, gee, it's going to be good to speak to Patrick. I just want to pick his brains about a couple of things. If people have that thought, you'll have a profitable business. But if it's like, oh, gee, I don't want to speak to this guy for 45 minutes about how great he is at design and taking me through his thought process. Nobody wants that, right? So when you figure that out, when you get that right, focus on one person, specialize in that problem, solve the whole problem, and deliver a valuable result instead of just design services, then you can expect to see numbers like this, right? Reaching out to 500 people on free platforms or paid platforms, getting 100 people engaged with who you are and what you do, so a conversation on Messenger or watching a video case study, 10 of those people booking a call, 2 of those closing into sales, okay? If you are bare minimum building an offer like this, you should be able to charge $5,000 per project. 2 clients per month. This is a $10,000 a month design business. This is literally what the math looks like to get to $10,000 a month. 6-figure business, right? Then, how do you grow it? Simple. Double everything. Double the amount of people that you're interacting with. Want to double again? Just double again. Double again, double again. And this is to get to like this amount of people. Obviously, you need to move beyond free strategies, but you got to go into paid traffic. That's why I'm in paid traffic now. And hence, how I hit an $80,000 month. It's not rocket science. It's just a good offer where you're charging on average like $10,000, $15,000 and you're booking like 15, 20 calls, right? This is how Heather hit $20,000 a month, finding people in Facebook groups, connecting with them, very quickly realizing, oh, I can generate a call for every 87 people that I speak to on Facebook. And I'm closing 50% of these calls. Cool. Now she's in control. Now she knows how to generate opportunity. Carrie, exactly the same in interior design services, building a video case study, posting content on Facebook, understood the relationship between what she needed to do to get somebody on the phone. When you do this, you're in control. Same with Alex in logo and branding identity design. Same with Alyssa and Michelle. We spoke about these guys earlier. Went from booking, 1, 2 calls a week to 9 because they focused on the outcome, not the services. Kurt, same thing. Forgot what he did here. Yeah, $8,000 a month, which is the most he's ever earned. Okay, so it works at all scales. Same with Adam here, charging $2,000-$3,000 for projects. Built an offer around helping people solve the whole problem of not just doing packaging for beer companies, but getting them into retail as well. $8,000 projects. This was within like 45 days of being inside the program. And just Facebook groups is where he gets his clients from. Does anybody have any questions? Noisy doll. So if a client doesn't fit this model, are they not a good client? Like if the prospect already has those leap of faith solutions worked out, that's a really good question. Let's come back here and just explain how this works. If somebody has already got the leap of faith thing set up and you can't charge them what they need here, you shouldn't be trying to focus on generate more of those opportunities in the future. You got to understand that the bigger the company, the less responsibility you need to take for the whole transition, right? So if you are working with a company like MasterCard, you can charge $1 million for the branding refresh because they're such a big company, they've got all of their other stuff organized. Okay. So then it's justified that you can just do design services. But guess what? 98% of businesses earn less than $1 million. And if you're earning less than $1 million, then that means that there's things bigger than just design services that are broken in your business. So the problem is that there's a handful of companies and design agencies that win all of the big business, right? And then there's 98% of the market that are considered small to medium businesses who have problems that are more complex than just design. They're the opportunity. So again, if the client doesn't fit that model and you can't charge them what you want to be charging, then you shouldn't be looking for them or pursuing them in the long term. Really simple. Does that make sense, Noisy Doll? I can see Alexandra wanted to know the answer to that as well. You're reinforcing with me that my main focus should be completing the niche development I'm speculative working on. Yeah, absolutely. It's the most important thing. Like, there is no business without first deciding who you're helping. That dictates everything because you're not the one with the checkbook. Most designers go like, I studied design for 6 years, therefore design's valuable. Silly way to think. Now, how do I sell design? It's like, I built a square peg. I'm going to go now try to jam it into as many holes as possible. Don't do that. Just go have a look at the market, see where their problems are, what shapes the hole, and then build a hole for that. Yeah. So businesses that think they have those steps worked out, but they aren't working, So noisy doll, this is where you have to understand that if the decision maker doesn't see a problem, there isn't a problem. So you can't go in and tell somebody there's a problem if they're not experiencing the pain. And that's why so many designers, their messaging and their marketing strategy is really ineffective, because it's like a doctor coming to my house and telling me that I'm eating unhealthy when I'm not noticing anything. I'm not noticing any sickness. I'm not noticing any dehydration. A doctor to knock on the door and sell me something to a problem I don't know exists, I'm just going to shoo them off, right? But the minute that I know I'm dehydrated and somebody knocks on the door and tries to sell me a bottle of water, I'll buy it. You can't tell people what problem they've got. You can only help them with the problems that they experience, because that's all people are willing to spend money on. Cool. I'll keep going. This one's a quick one. Third key that entrepreneurs have is just the ability to turn calls into projects. All right. So we call this sales acceleration, and it's really just this simple. All right. First thing, for somebody to want to speak to us, they have a current situation, right? The reason that they're speaking to us is because they're not where they want to be. The red dot signifies, this dot here signifies that where they want to be. This is where they are now. This is where they want to be. The reason that somebody would respond to a message of ours is because they're not where they want to be. So this is why they're engaging with us. So step number one, understand that the problem gap is what drives the prospect to take action, not their desire for design. Like we said before, oh, you want a website. Why do you want a website? Oh, because of this. If you could get that without a website, would you be happy spending money? Yes, I would. It's the problem gap that drives people to take action, not design. Okay, so that's the first step. Most designers make the mistake of thinking that they're selling design. They never actually think about the transition that the person wants to make. So they talk about design for the whole sales process, drop a price where they haven't communicated that they understand the needs and desires of that prospect, and they wonder why that person's not willing to invest with them. All right, step number two. Pardon. Clearly diagnose and separate these two situations. So now we know that somebody has come to us. This is where they're at. This is where they want to get to. This is where they're at. This is where they want to get to. We ask them the necessary questions to identify very clearly these two situations. So we ask questions like, what motivated you to want to book a time and speak with me today? What do you feel like the problem is? What have you guys done to try to solve and fix this problem? Where do you guys want to be in like 12 months from now? Or dictate what success looks like? What do you guys actually want to achieve from a results standpoint? What is it that you want my help with specifically? Okay, we ask these kind of questions. And we're going to figure out exactly why they've reached out to us, exactly what they want, and if we've focused on reaching out to the market where we've built an offer already exactly for these people, then what we can do is step number three. We position ourselves and our offer as the bridge between these two situations. Cool. Because I reached out to you, I know that this is probably the problem you have. This is the problem I help people with. And instead of just selling design, I help you with everything required to increase the likelihood that you absolutely succeed at getting this thing achieved, right? Again, good sales comes down to this. It's really just communicating that you can answer this question. That's why it is so important. We obviously give people the industry leading training on marketing and sales, but you could honestly be absolutely shit at marketing and sales, get the offer right, get this right, and you'll still do really well. We have a lot of people come through the program who half-ass the marketing strategy, they half-ass the sales process, but it's because they got the offer right, they'll still succeed. Okay? It's what allows Alexa to double her rate. It's what allows Brian to have a structure and a strategy in place where he feels like he would have lost 3 clients in the past because he didn't know how to run sales, right? Mario closed his biggest ever project of $5,000, got hit with a lot of resistance, knew how to deal with it because he was positioning himself as the bridge to the gap, right? That's the third thing. Any questions, guys? Feel free to fire them through before we get stuck into the last one and the most important. Problem solving is something I truly believe in. My tagline, communication, the successful conveying or sharing of ideas. Yeah. The only thing with that tagline is it doesn't justify what I get for my money. Kristen, love your clarity and how you explain things. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions about sales? You'll obviously get the opportunity to ask questions at the end anyway, so don't stress if the question comes a bit later, We're making good time here too, guys. We'll be done in probably 20 minutes in total, plus just a bit of Q&A as well. So, any sales related questions? If not, I'll keep chugging along. Okay. Are the clients who push back on your digging into what's the real problem the wrong clients then? You haven't marketed yourself correctly if they're not willing to pry into those questions. So if I position my business around helping people with an idea for a product who don't know what to do next, they're going to be pretty keen on divulging all the information around that problem. But if you're a designer positioning yourself as a designer who sells design services and you start asking questions about the mechanics of a bigger problem in their business, of course they're not going to be interested in opening up. That's why you need to shift away from positioning yourself as a designer, because you're the only one that cares that you're a designer. Everyone else sees you as either a solution that they'll use or not. Chris, how do you determine what the value of the product to manufacture? It's based on the demographic of the market multiplied by how well of a job that product solves a problem. And then you're obviously referring to other potential products that are in close affinity to it as well. Derwin, we bring brands to life is my tagline. Not sure now. Very hard to charge more than $5,000 for bringing a brand to life, because that's fundamentally saying I'll create an Illustrator file for you. Rachel Price, I'm not a natural salesperson. Any tips on where to start when approaching clients? Yes. The best tip I can give you is, I don't know how confident you guys think I am on this call. The only reason that I'm confident is because I know everything about this topic. That's how you develop confidence. It's when you know absolutely everything about your problem and your niche market down to the finest details. So that if anyone objects to anything that you propose, you've got just an automatic justification for why you're correct. You know what I mean? So sales is not about Jordan Belfort doing lines of cocaine, confidence, rah, rah, rah. It's about building a really good offer, a really good product, or a really good service, getting in front of the right people, and then delivering a product or service that delivers a result. That's where the confidence comes from. When for instance, how confident are you going to be if you walk through a crowded, just a crowd of people on the beach one day. No one's eaten for, 25, 20, 30 hours. They're all starving, and you're the only sandwich cart. How confident are you going to be walking that sandwich cart through those starving people? You're going to be pretty confident that that's a good business idea. Why? Because it has nothing to do with your ability to cook sandwiches. It's just the situation. You've got something that people will probably want based on the problem that they have. Art licensing, don't know enough about it. Unfortunately, Christian, it's not my area of competence. Lao, growing your business, yeah, it's not specific enough. Most designers say grow your business, but if what you did grew their business, wouldn't your business be doing amazingly well and thriving? Anybody who can truly grow a business doesn't have an issue generating opportunity. Growing your business is not something anybody wants. What people want is, I want 5 real estate developer clients next month. We want to win a particular pitch and get investment. We want the conversion rate on the website to increase by 15%, right? You can't promise like generalized broad concepts. Like, how many people would buy a plane ticket to Paris? I mean, to Europe. And you're like, well, where in Europe? No, just head towards Europe. It's too vague. There's not enough information to purchase. But if I'm like, you can land at Charles de Gaulle Airport at 4 o'clock on the 29th of December, now you know exactly what you're getting for your money, right? Cool. So we'll get stuck into the next one. This one's the most important. Um, I've invested a lot of money in myself, in a lot of mentors. I'd probably say like maybe 60, 70 grand now. And early on, what I thought I was investing in is like insane like marketing strategies and tactics. This is the biggest thing I've learned. Everybody, 2 of my mentors do $25 million a year. This is what they've taught me to become the most important thing. It's what contributes a lot of my success. All right. This is how you want to think about focus. Focus is the most important part of any successful business model or succeeding in anything, to be honest. This is how you want to think about focus. So this circle here represents your circle of focus. If there's only one thing in it, all of your effort, energy, everything goes into nailing and getting this right. The minute that you put one more thing into there, let's say networking, then you're only spending half of your time, effort, energy here, and the other 50% of it, the time, effort, energy, concentration, everything is being muddled with another thing, right? How many people do you think get world class at anything by half-assing it? Did Tiger Woods play another sport? Did Warren Buffett have an ice cream stand as well? Did Bill Gates have an Instagram page? No. They just focused on one thing religiously, right? You cannot achieve anything meaningful by half-assing it. And this is like best case scenario for a lot of designers. Most people spend too much time on social media, so they get a lot of mixed messages about needing more stuff. So this is like best case scenario. Very rarely do I find somebody that's just doing 2 things, right? But most people have been led to believe, oh, you also need an ebook. You also need a rebrand continually to show how fresh you are. You need a podcast. It's really good to have a podcast. So it's really good to blog. You got to blog. Yeah. Blog all the time. Oh, and you need a YouTube channel to demonstrate your authority. Oh, and then you want to run some paid ads. Okay. So half-assing something all of a sudden looks really good. Most designers I speak to, you go to their website and there's the little YouTube logo, there's the LinkedIn logo, the Facebook logo, the Twitter logo, the email and the SSS and the Google Places logo, and there's fuck all content and engagement on any of them. Because you play to this idea that productivity is about doing more, more, more. It's not. It's about nailing the important things, right? I made this mistake myself. Built the ebook, started the podcast, tried some paid ads, rebranded 1,000 times, networking, LinkedIn outreach. What I learned and where I got the results was from saying no and deleting everything, bar one thing. Going all in on that thing, nailing it, mastering it, outsourcing and delegating, and moving on to the next thing. Nailing it, mastering it, and then hit 80K a month just with these two things. Didn't need any of this shit. Right? Because whilst the average designer is doing all of these things, whilst also delivering work, I was going all in on just this. Whilst every designer was doing this, and after I delegated LinkedIn outreach and was generating, 10, 15K a month just organically, I went all in on figuring out paid ads. You don't need everything at once. You can have all this stuff. Absolutely. You can have it all, but not all at once. Just do it one at a time. Nail it, move on to the next thing. Nail it, master it, get results out of it, delegate it. Send it to a VA. Get a staff member to do it. Move on to the next thing, right? What makes you think if you can't nail one of these things that you're going to nail any of them? This is what I see. Designers that are spread really thin, a mile wide and an inch deep. And nobody who's a mile wide and an inch deep makes any money. Right? So they're the four keys. They're the differences between entrepreneurs and designers. Powerful offer, the ability to get prospects on the phone, the ability to turn calls into projects, and the ability to just focus on the same thing. Right? When you answer that question and you build a powerful offer and you're able to get people on the phone, you're able to close them, your ability to maintain maximum focus increases because you now know what's working, right? Package knowledge, opportunity control, sales acceleration, deep focus. Okay, so you might be asking, how do you set this up? You can go the individual mentor route, which is what I did. Initially, before I'd figured it out, spent 28K. Somebody helping building a great offer, the marketing strategy, sales strategy, all these people outside of the design industry. That's why it worked, because you don't need any more design skills. You need business skills. That's what I learned. Option number 2 is to combine what you find online and just create a patchwork quilt of blog posts created by interns at design magazines, which is what most designers are doing. It takes months, years, or most likely never. I still speak to people that are like 60 years old who haven't figured this stuff out. So that's an option. Option number 3, even if you want to go with option number 1 or 2, just schedule a call. We can walk through it together. I can't be more specific on these presentations because your design business is unique. You have different types of clients. What you do for them is different. Your own skills and understanding are different. It's impossible to create a one-size-fits-all blueprint on this page, okay? What we focus on is working individually with designers, with where their strengths are, helping them solve the biggest problem and build the offer to fulfill that, all right? It really only takes me a handful of questions to figure out what changes you need to make. So on this call, what we can do is figure out exactly where your winning offer is, how to identify a valuable offer, what to avoid offering and saying. A lot of mistakes can be made. What platform is best for you to go find leads? And we've already helped hundreds of businesses like yours. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just quickly now show you something. Where is it? Yeah, this guy here. This page, if you go just below the video, you're going to see, just below the video here, you're going to see this mastermind link. Everybody that you see down here with the results, giving testimonials and all of the results we've got, these people were just on a training like you, booked a call to see what change would look like. We went through their business model, asked them a few questions, laid out what the game plan looked like, which you can see here with the syllabus, and they came on board, right? So, low end return on investment of this call. If you're a designer making 50K a year, let's say you 20 projects at $2,500 each. What if we could take what I taught you about building an offer to increase your project value by 10%? What if we could increase the amount of calls by 10%? This is pretty easy for most designers because they don't do any outreach. What if we could increase the amount of closes you get by 10% as well? And what if we could increase your daily effectiveness by 10%? Just by showing you what to do, what not to do, all right? These are massively conservative estimates based on the results that you've seen, the results that you can see on that mastermind page. But if you multiply those increases together, $73,000, right, instead of $50,000, just from what we can take you through on the call, right? Like I said before, you sell the value of the conversation. If you can sell the value of the conversation, the business model works, right? So if you're a good fit, we'll walk you through the back end of the program. We obviously work with designers with a certain type of business model. Fashion designers, we don't work with you. I'm trying to think of anyone else specifically. Yeah, all business to business, most business to consumer. So architecture, interior, we work with you guys. Like fashion design, no. Yeah, feel free to reach out if you're unsure. Happy to guide you in the right direction anyway. But even if you're not a good fit, we're obviously still going to help you and ask you these questions and show you these things on that call. profitabledesigner.com/apply is the link for that. All you got to do is just go to profitabledesigner.com/apply. First in, first served. We've got 8 spots for that. Whatever time it is for you right now, it's obviously just gone 0:00 at past the hour. We'll close the ability to book those calls. For people that book a call in the next half hour, because it's coming up to Christmas and Black Friday, you get a $2,000 discount on the training program. All right, so this could be the highest action return on investment that you take this month, right? Hopefully you guys have liked the presentation. If you want to book a call, feel free to do that. Feel free to ask questions right now if you've got questions. Happy to go through them, guys. So that's the entire presentation. Hopefully that all makes sense. Feel free to fire through your questions. I can get stuck in. Zandoria, that's a tough one. I create 3D printable miniatures and terrain for tabletop games. It seems that I should be showing them how they can make money with their new 3D printer by printing and selling the files. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good offer. It's so easy to get overwhelmed with all the tools out there. Yep. The problem is that everybody's right. I very rarely see any information online that's not right. It's just all of the strategies that people talk about work, but they require you to invest yourself in them. Most people aren't prepared to do that. I'm just starting a new business. Would this be helpful now or should I wait? I am Lish. I would say a quarter of the people that come into the program are working a 9-to-5 job and building a design business so that they can do their own thing. We absolutely help people that are just starting. Malcolm, thanks, very clear and good info. My pleasure. Kate, so I have a page on my website listing my different services, like many interior designers. Do you suggest instead of that, I simply tell people the problem I solve? Absolutely. Like, if you've got different services, then it's fundamentally communicating, I don't know what you need. pick what you think. But that's not how people want their problem solved. I enjoyed this, Patrick. Cannot commit today, but I'd like to have a call at a later date. Absolutely. Feel free. Feel free to fire your questions through, guys. Noisy doll, not just starting a new business, also starting a new career in web design and development. How long should I spend in acquiring skills portfolio building phase? No time. People don't need to see a portfolio. They just need a result. So how can you reach out to somebody who you think you can help solve a specific problem and be like, look, this is just my first project. I'm looking for case studies and testimonials. Happy to give it to you at a discounted rate. What do you think? Somebody's going to be pretty keen on that. Then, instead of a theoretical portfolio, you've got an actual client with an actual result. Hopefully that makes sense. John, the pricing's dependent on the designer. Depends on their situation. It's bad practice to put any pricing onto a website for your design business as well. Why? Because people can't associate the value to a number on a page. Like, you can't just throw a number up on a page for design services because people just automatically look at the price and they don't focus on the value. That's what the sales process is for. So hopefully that answers it. Feel free to ask your questions, guys. I still see, by the look of it, 95% of the people that we had when we started are still on the call. So people still keen to learn more. Feel free to just fire through any questions you've got. There's no limits on what you can ask. I'm happy for you to ask anything. I'm happy to divulge. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Prices on websites is just a massive no-no. Because you haven't even figured out whether the person's a good fit for what you do. And you're already dismissing them if they don't like the price, you know? A general price range for a graphic design branding sole proprietorship, that's not enough information. You're asking me to give you a number when the only number that matters is how big of a problem are you solving for the client. Edge Limited, do you have samples of a good site? Yeah, here's a good sample. This is one of our clients and one of the students going through the program. Oh, I don't know if you guys can see the page. Let me bring it up. Bear with me. This is an example. Not not amazing web design, right? Just a standard Squarespace template. Nothing special. She booked calls for $35 using paid traffic. Simple about section. Video case study, which most people don't have because they just show images of their work, but she actually shows how she can solve this problem, right? The website doesn't matter. It's just the message. It's hard for designers to hear that because they obsess over their website. If not today, how does one set up a call in the future? Feel free to just visit profitabledesigner.com in the future. You can all roads to a good website lead to a booking page, John. So yeah, feel free to just go back to the site. You'll always find everything funnels towards a call. Many prospective clients won't divulge any budget. How do you establish a price when you don't know how much they have to spend? Well, John, the minute that you position yourself around a valuable problem, they will divulge information about the value of that problem. But if you're coming in as a designer and you're wanting to know a budget, they're not going to be that keen to tell you a budget because they think that's going to be the greatest contributor to what you charge. That's why so many designers don't get told prices. They just like send us through a quote. It's because we don't value what you do enough. We don't want you overcharging. But the minute that you focus on what do you think is going to happen if you go to a business and you're like, I can do web design, but more importantly, we can increase the landing page conversion rate for your sales pages by 6%. Cool, let's have a chat. What do you think the first thing they talk about? 6% increase leads to this amount of sales or this much value created for us. Then you can charge based on that value. Lots of people still on the call. Feel free to throw the questions out, guys. Still 90% of the people on the call. Patrick, why did you branch out into what you're doing now? And which do you make the most money from now, this or the design business? Good question. I still make more money from my design business. This profitable design is probably, I take in maybe eight, 8 to 9 people a month. So that's about $45,000 a month. I still make more through the design business. Why did I branch out? Obviously, profitable designer has the potential to be much bigger because training programs and coaching programs obviously are easier to deliver and scale than industrial design services. Why did you branch out into what you're doing now? Because I'm not a designer and I'm an entrepreneur. Like I might have started with design, but I always saw myself as an entrepreneur. What does that mean? It means that I build products and services to solve the biggest problems I can find in the marketplace, not how do I sell design services. So when things started to really take off in my design business, and I started looking for help in regards to hiring other agencies to help deliver the work, and people weren't interested in working for me, but they were willing to pay me to teach them how I was able to generate the opportunity. I knew I was onto something. I knew I was solving, or there was a problem there that nobody was solving, and that's organically how Profitable Designer grew. So it grew from the necessity that the market stuck their hand up and identified themselves, not I've got a skill set. How do I solve this? Or how do I build a training product and sell it? It was, there's a painful problem here where people are telling me it's painful and they're willing to invest in it, then build something. That's where successful businesses come from. The reason designers struggle is because they start with design services. Oh, cool. How do I sell this? But if you guys have listened to a lot of Steve Jobs, like YouTube, like I have, you start with the customer experience and work back to the technology, which means you focus on what the customer wants first and deliver that. And whatever is required to deliver that, then you figure out what that is. Same with our design business. Figure out where people are prepared to spend money and what they want to experience as a customer, and then figure out what is required and how to manipulate an offer to help them get that. And if you do that, you'll notice that it's like, okay, I need design, but I need other stuff too. And it's the people that do that, they're the entrepreneurs, and they're the ones who kill it. They're the ones who charge the big money. All the success in the design space is on the edges. None of it's in the middle. Like there's a few people in the middle. There's the pentagrams and all of the old school guys in the middle who do really well. And then it's just broke designers like this. And then on the edge, it's the guys doing really well because they overlap their understanding of design with other industries and other ideas. Noisy Doll, I'm still filling out the application form. No worries, Noisy Doll. Look forward to chatting. At what point do you say no? When do you back off from even a lucrative job? I'd never back off from a lucrative job. The way that I back away from situations is by like doubling my prices. So if I'm too busy and I've got either good or, you know, bad projects, like obviously you take into account personality fit. If you feel like the personality fit's not going to be there, then you probably won't move forward with the project. But if it's a good project and you're still up to your eyeballs in work, you take it on, but you charge double. Why? Because then if they move forwards, yes, it's a pain in the ass, but you got this other project. But because you've charged double, you can bring in somebody and have the time and resources to deliver the project without stretching. I know I'm the average designer you talk about, and I feel all over the place and find it hard to price my value, even though I know that I'm good at what I'm doing. Filling in the form right now. No worries, Jeanette. It doesn't matter how good we think we are at doing something. Like the guy, the mechanic at the mechanics workshop who tightens the bolt, it doesn't matter how good he is at tightening that bolt. There is a very definable value on his time and what it requires to tighten that bolt. So most designers are like, I'm really good at branding or like I'm really experienced. It doesn't matter unless you can overlap that skill with something in a bigger ecosystem that allows a business to do something amazing. So like the mechanic can talk about how amazing his wrist action is on tightening that bolt, but if it doesn't align with getting the car back on the road, it's useless. So most designers focus on the tightening of the bolt and talking about the tightening of the bolt when they should be focusing on getting the car back on the road in the least amount of moves. Zendoria, thank you for sharing your insight. My pleasure. Cardboards, you showed a website for interiors without any work. Is your position that a graphic design biz does not need to show previous work portfolio as long as they can illustrate that they solve a problem? Yeah, what we do instead is video case studies where we've delivered results. So the work doesn't matter. Do you think that if I design a product for a company and they make no money off it, right, that it's a good portfolio piece, even though it wins an award? No, it's a terrible portfolio piece because it didn't get the results that my clients would want to invest in. So we do show work, but only in the context of if it actually delivers a powerful and meaningful result. Showing work without a result is showing that you're focusing on the wrong shit. For those guys wanting to book a call, we've only got 10 minutes to do so. That window will close. I'm just having a look now. John, Celia, Becky, Paula, Edward, Alexandra, Mitchell. Thank you all for booking a call. Look forward to chatting to you. We've got probably 10 minutes to go, guys. Happy to give you guys another 10 minutes of really good questions as well, by the way. Thank you. They also help other people that are on the program. So if you've got a question, now's the time to ask it. Happy to answer anything. Cardboards, did that answer make sense to you? Sweet. Cool, guys. Still 25 people on the webinar. My pleasure, John. Still 25 people on the webinar, guys. So feel free. There must be a few people that have questions that they want to ask. Just let me know. Happy to go through any of it. No worries, Derwin. Pleasure. Thank you for your questions. Christian, I'm thinking about my business in a whole new way. My pleasure. Hopefully it's been of value to you. Again, guys, if you want to continue the conversation and get stuck into your specific design business model, feel free. Have a look at the mastermind page. You can see there's links here to apply for a call. All you got to do is book a time that suits. Come onto here, book a time, answer. There's just a few questions that I ask you here so that we can figure out, hit the ground running and get the information we need to take advantage of the full 45 minutes. Any more questions? How do you attract bigger clients when you've only done work for friends and family so far? So the way to reframe that is, how do you find bigger problems than your friends and family have? What businesses could you reach out to that potentially have problems that are way bigger than the problems that your friends and family have? And just get them results at any cost. So it's more important to get results. If you get three results, really powerful results, really powerful video testimonials, that's all you'll need to build a really powerful business. This was really interesting. I'm going to go away and do some thinking now. Thanks. No worries, Rachel, but make sure you start reaching out to people. Kate, thank you. I appreciate sharing all this information so freely. My absolute pleasure. I've booked a call. No worries, Kate. Look forward to chatting. I'm just having a look. I haven't got your call come through yet, but I'm sure it'll come through shortly anyway, Kate. Cool, guys. 5 more minutes for questions, and we will call it quitsies for the night or the morning or the evening, no matter where you are. Does anybody have any questions that they feel like is potentially off limits, but they want to ask it anyway? This is your chance to fire that through. I'm happy to answer anything. When we book a call, will it automatically be in our time zone? Yes. So once you log on with Calendly, it'll detect what your time zone is. I'll get told in my time zone what it is. You'll get told in your time zone. So, yeah. Any final questions, guys? Cool. 4 minutes, guys, to book a call. And then we're calling it quits. Still got a little bit of time to ask any questions that you want to ask. Otherwise, really interesting, Patrick. Thank you. Just filling out the form. My pleasure, Elemental Design and Branding. It's like the thing is that like the future's already. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but it's a quote that's pretty cool. The future's already here. It's just not evenly distributed. So what that means is that the future is here. It just right now, like for instance, the technology for like driverless cars, for instance, like has been around for ages, but now it's getting to the point where it's going to be evenly distributed across the globe. Well, that's the same for everything. All of the great stuff is already out in the world a lot of the time. The people that make the money are the ones who introduce it to new people. Well, all I've done is gone into the business and sales and marketing fields and figured out what's elementary 101 business skill there. What's considered absolutely bare bones. You're stupid if you're not doing these thing processes. And I've brought them to the design space and adjusted them based on, the art form of translating and communicating design value. Right. So there's nothing here that's like crackpot theory. It's just literally proven business principles. And I could tell you the most important part of that is that you want to be doing 1% of the design space truly kills it, right? 1% of the design space truly kills it. How to do things, right? The people that do the 1% things don't act and behave like 99% of the industry. It's so important to understand that. If you listen to any common advice in the design space, you'll end up with a vulture design business fighting over scraps. The way to build a really profitable business or succeed in anything business wise is to figure out who your best customers are, why that problem's the biggest problem you can solve a better version of it, and go all in on just solving that one problem over and over again, just like a brain surgeon. Um, Cardboards, do you convert the client on a call or do you opt to produce a proposal post call? Yeah, it's for design services, it's always proposal post call. It's always good to, what we use the sales process for, the sales call is more of an extraction tool to figure out where somebody is and where they're trying to get to so that we can populate the proposal. So that the good thing, like obviously, you know, when you're selling like a training program like I've got here, there's a set price. Sorry, guys, I just lost audio for a sec. Hopefully that's better now. Just let me know if you can't hear me. So it's easy for particular products to have set prices, but when you're selling something that is kind of semi-customized and the situations of your clients is different, you don't want to be throwing a price. You want to be giving a very wide price range and say, look, it's a good fit. This is what I can do holistically for you. This is the price range. Let me get back to you in the next 24 hours with a proposal. How does that sound? That's generally a good strategy, because then you can go away, have a think about it for a day. If you record the call, you can go back over their pain points and then build a proposal that's like, here's what you told me you wanted. Here's the specifics of that goal. Here's what I can do for you. This is how long it'll take me, and this is how much it'll cost, you know? Hopefully that answers it. Cool. Any final questions, guys? Otherwise, we're gonna end it there. For everybody who booked a call, Alexandra, Mitchell, Edward, Kate, Gareth, Becky, John, Alicia. Look forward to chatting to you all. Awesome, guys. Cool. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for your time and attendance, guys. Been really nice to chat to you all. Thank you so much for your great questions, everybody. Until next time, for those people that are going to be rounds like in the last 3 or 4 days before New Year's Eve, I'm going to do another training then as well. So feel free to rock up to that. Just stay active on the email list and you'll get access to that as well. So that's it for me today, guys. Happy Sunday. Enjoy your Monday. Enjoy your Christmas if I don't speak to you. And for all those guys and girls that booked a call, look forward to digging deep into your business. So have a great day. Speak soon.